There's a universe inside of you. Can I kiss you?
Hey, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This week we are going to be doing a college prep, college life video, and this is going to be answering a lot, if not all of the questions that I received over the past couple months about how to prepare for college, how to survive in college, and how I personally have made my way here to Columbia and if I'm enjoying it, stuff like that. Without further ado, I'm just going to ask the question and then answer it. Okay, first question. Is senior year very hectic or busy? And if so, would you recommend actively debating during senior year, or is it not worth it? So for all my high school speech and debate friends out there, I think that debating during senior year is worth it. You just have to make sure that your schedule aligns with your priorities. So if your priorities are getting X, Y, and Z college applications done, you want to make sure, all right, I have this application that will be done by this weekend. I'm going to finish this application by next weekend. That way I'm free in time for Bronx or in time for whatever tournament that you're trying to go to, Next. How do you balance social life and college work? This is a really good question. I honestly think that the same thing applies to debate tournaments in high school. You really do have to just make sure that your work is done and then you go socialize. So maybe I'll do my homework throughout the entire week, and then later on I'll go back and say, all right, it's Friday, I want to hang out with my friends, let me hit up one of them, let me text them or whatever. That is honestly the way that I've been doing it. I think that having times where you're just gonna be like, I am not doing work, I need to take a break, is really important. And during those times, you definitely want to cultivate your friendships and hang out with other people and just de-stress. And I love doing that on the weekends. Balancing social life and college work is difficult if you don't time manage well, but if you stay on top of your assignments and you really do have a good grasp of what it is you need to do right now versus what can wait versus something that's a long-term project, then you'll be a lot better off in terms of planning and scheduling yourself. And your friends will understand, if you're all in college, you all know how busy it is. The next question, when colleges say they want strong extracurriculars, do they mean they want awards or just proof that you've been committed to an extracurricular? So I would say personally, having some awards on your resume does not hurt. It is high school though, so keep that in mind. When you get to college, none of that stuff matters for the most part, unless it's stuff that isn't predicated on you being in high school. Maybe it's some higher achievement. They do love them some extracurriculars, and they don't mean extracurriculars like you were joining 10 different clubs at once. More so, you showed a passion for something through that extracurricular and showed how you can contribute to your community, and they really like that, because if you can contribute to your community in that way, you can also contribute to their community as a student. Neoliberalism, y'all. Next is, how much does GPA matter, and is it calculated holistically or by grade? I think that some colleges will recalculate your GPA just because so many different schools have so many different ways of calculating GPA, some of which may be inflated, some of which may be deflated. So I do believe that colleges can recalculate your GPA by grades. However, I know that at my school, for example, the classes that counted for core classes at my school, they told us that those are the classes that would be factored into our sort of college GPA. And every school is different. I'm not going to make any blanket statements. I don't even know how Columbia evaluates GPAs. I definitely think GPA matters, but I don't think that a 4.0 will get you into college. That's all I'm going to say. What points, if any, should we focus on in our essays? So in your college essays, you want to make sure that you're focusing on things that have to do with you, that are unique to you. Do not make a really generic essay that could be written by anyone. The whole point is that they want you to showcase what's special about you and why you belong at their college or university. If you're telling a story of hardship, or trauma. I'm not discounting, the fact that we do sometimes have to share that trauma in order for these like white, like neoliberal institutions to recognize us. The main point of those essays should not be life sucks. The main point of those essays should be, here's how I grew from X, Y, and Z experiences. Because that is how they will see that you will persevere and that you have overcome those things. Maybe those things aren't completely resolved. That's okay. But what did you learn from those experiences? That is something that my brace advisor always reminded me when I was writing essays. What's it like going to a PWI? Like, is it difficult for someone who isn't white? Yes. I will say that one of the only things that is close to the level of white privilege on this campus is the level of class privilege. It is hard being the second to last largest minority. I think we're 8% Black at Columbia, and honestly, I have just found my Black friends, and I have found my friends who I really care about and have kept them close to me, and I'm happy. I can't complain because I am in a much better position now with awesome friendships than I was when I got here as a first year. And I do think that joining clubs like Caribbean Student Association or Black Student Organization or Charles Drew Pre-Medical Society for Black and Brown students helped me find so many of those other Black students. And even if we didn't start talking my freshman year, at least now my third year, we are conversing more, we have classes together, and they're familiar faces. Do you recommend jumping into pre-med requirements the first year? Yes, I do. The pre-med requirements are a lot. I would say, just off the top of my head, is chemistry, biology, physics, organic chemistry, the associated labs, so chem lab, physics lab, bio lab, and organic chemistry lab. And then there's also other things like psychology that they suggest, statistics they suggest sociology sometimes. They also mandate math. They also mandate biochemistry. So there are so many classes that you need to take, and those classes are usually year-long courses. So you definitely should start your freshman year if you want to stay ahead of the grind and have time to do other things with your college experience besides take those classes. I would highly recommend. My freshman year, I took general chemistry and general chemistry lab. Was it difficult to adjust a big name PWI despite its seemingly inclusive environment? So personally, I don't see Columbia's environment as all out inclusive. I definitely did not feel included when I first got here. I really liked the days on campus with the diversity of students, but as soon as I got here, for real, and moved in and everything, I knew that I was stepping into a whole different world than what South Florida is. It'll be common to be the only Black woman in the room, and those are the things that I've just had to come to terms with. I think that what made it more difficult for me to adjust was more that I was always gone. I never really liked being here when I first got here, so I would leave to go back home to Florida when I could. I would go to debate tournaments on the weekends, and that would take me to different states, different hotels, different areas, whatever. And I would really and truly not partake in any of the stuff that was going on. Every time that there was a party and my friends would tell me about it, I'd be like, oh, I'm leaving, or I won't be here. And I think that hurt me a lot because I didn't really get a chance to foster those friendships, and I didn't really get a chance to show face as much my first year. And I do think that I've made up for that now, but it has been more on quarantine and social media than it has with me actively socializing. So still working on that. Should your college essay be more about you than why you want to attend the university? Yes. Your college essay, the general one, not the one that says why Columbia or why this college or why that college. Your general essay should be about you. My essay was about my Monopoly collection, which was actually an interesting essay to write for me because I love Monopoly. I have 13 different versions at my house right now, and I really think that it was an interesting metaphor for my life, and I can link the essay Google Doc into this description in the video if y'all want. But yeah, it was about my Monopoly collection. I'm one of the only people I know who has one of those, and I just explained what it meant to me, and I guess that was enough. Next, address picking a school based on personal fit. financial aid and feeling like there's community for you there versus just the name / reputation. Okay, I am going to address this right now. Your school that you go to for undergrad should not just be, this school is ranked really high, this school is elite, people will know this name. No, that's just unreasonable. You're not going to college for people. You're not going to college for other people to validate what you're doing. You're going to college for you, which means that you need to find a place that actually fits your heart. So whether that be you want to live in an environment with a lot of nature, a lot of access to trees and forests and stuff like that, or maybe you want to go to college in the city. I'm the type of person, I wanted to go to college in the city. If you are the type of person that knows that you need financial aid, why would you go to a school just because it's cute and has a huge reputation, quote unquote, when you're gonna have to take out loans and be in debt before you even graduate undergrad? Not cute. Not cute. Go to a school that matches your pockets. Don't try to live above your means because it could end up biting you in the butt later. Honestly, college can be a scam sometimes, and you can get scammed if you do stupid stuff like that. So if you can, try not to take out too many loans and evaluate schools' aid packages. Try to get them to match other people's aid packages in order to get in. And if you don't really understand what I mean by that, I mean if one school of a certain tier gives you an aid package, says this is how much financial aid you're going to get, this is how much we expect you to contribute to your tuition. If you have another school of similar rigor that is offering that financial aid package that's higher than that, you can say, all right, can you all match the financial aid of this first school? Because I want to go to your school, but I can't afford it. And this great college is also giving me like a pretty good deal. And the worst I can say is no. I ended up using Dartmouth's financial aid package to get the Columbia financial aid package. And here I am. Although I am wearing Dartmouth's colored green, but that was just an accident. Another thing is feeling like you have a community there for sure, because I had never visited Columbia before I attended here. So it became an issue of like, I just want to be in the city and I just want to be somewhere where my family is, because I have family in Brooklyn, New York. So I was like, it's not going to be unfamiliar. At least I'll have them there if anything goes wrong. And that was enough for me. I personally feel as if you should look at your school's demographics as well and consider what kind of community you'll have when you're there, because you can't go through college alone. You're always going to want someone there, a nice group or community to fall back on, or to just help you transition properly and adjust to college. And I'm really happy I found that here after a while. Someone asked, should I go straight to calculus? I'm nervous. I think if you think you're about that life, you should go straight to calculus. I know I did when I got here, and although that Calc 3 class kicked my butt, I still passed, barely, and I don't have to do any more math for the rest of college. So I'm really happy, and I went from Calc BC in high school, got a 5, straight into Calc 3. Did you do the QuestBridge Prep Scholars first, or just jump into College Match? I did not do QuestBridge Prep Scholars. I didn't know about it until it was too late because no one told me, although I wish they had. And I went into QuestBridge College Match. I didn't make it to the finals or anything like that. So I ended up, just applying to Columbia regularly again. And I still got in, so I'm happy. And I still got a good financial aid package. How likely is it for international students to receive sufficient financial aid from Columbia? This is something that I believe is heavily disputed because not everyone's experience with financial aid is the same. I am not an international student, so I'm not going to speak to what that experience is like. The idea that Columbia doesn't give aid to international students is false, apparently. What do I think college are looking for / what makes people stand out? I think honestly colleges are looking for someone who will contribute to their community in a way that can be like sold or like advertised as something really cool. Someone that they know will be a gem within their alumni network. Someone who they know will complete the college and add something to the community before they leave. Period, point blank. What that looks like for everyone, very different. Very different. Sometimes it looks like you just have money and you will have a lot of connections and you will bring us good money into this university. Sometimes it looks like you did a lot of community service in high school. We really like this passion that you showed for X project or X thing, and we want you to bring that passion to our school. We want you to maybe potentially continue that project here. Maybe it looks like this person is very athletically talented. We really want them on our team. Boom. There are so many different considerations to take into account. I do think I know one thing that makes you stand out is teacher recommendations or employee recommendations. You need to make sure that your recommendation letters are on point. You should ask people who are going to write you really nice, eloquent recommendation letters that really detail how amazing of a student you are. The way that they see you mostly is through your essay and obviously through your academic profile. But the way that they get to know you is also how other people perceive you. And that is where those recommendations come in. Now I'm gonna answer some questions from my Instagram story that I posted earlier this week. Next question. Would you say Columbia has a good amount of Black students in your classes? No. And honestly, it really depends on what classes you're taking. I'm not gonna say that every single class, just I'm the only Black student there, but I've had several classes where I was the only Black student in the class or the only Black woman in the class. And again, it's just a question of that little 8%, you know? If the demographic in the university is small and you're taking maybe a discussion-based class with like 10 to 15 people in it, chances are there will probably not be another Black person in that room. But that is not like a rule of thumb. There are obviously classes I've had where there have been other Black people in it, and it has been a vibe. Do you have time during the week to explore the city? So this semester, I actually do have time to explore the city, and I'm really happy. I actually went shopping today. You really do have to construct your schedule in a way that gives you breaks, especially now that classes are virtual. It's so imperative to make sure that you have time for yourself. And I never really had time to like jazz out in the city in previous years, but again, this year with the way that my schedule is set up, I do have afternoons and evenings pretty free. How did you handle stress during the college app process? So as I mentioned in my earlier videos, my passion planner dragged me through this college app process. Like I was on my grind. I did not play. For me, I had my general essay for my college applications done in July. And I sent it to my brace advisor in August as soon as school opened so she could read over it. And I started submitting applications then and there because I had applications for the University of Cambridge and King's College London due super early, like September or October. And at that time, I really wanted to go to school in England. So I was like, all right, let me get these done. And I also had other things like QuestBridge that were due early, so I started those applications. And basically, even after I was denied from QuestBridge, I went through my passion planner and decided, okay, I'm gonna have the application for this school and this school done by this weekend. I'll have this school and this school done by next weekend. And I did that so that my apps would be done by November 1st, I think. And once I had all my apps in, I was chilling. I think that the most important thing for me was just like sticking to that schedule. And once I got a gauge of how difficult the application would be, I would set that timeline and I would just make sure that I met that timeline and I used whatever free time I had. So for example, I would have a study hall. I'd be working on college applications there. I'd be editing essays in extra time during class. I would try to get my homework for school done during school so that when I went home after track practice, after work, I would be able to work on my college applications and then not worry about it. So honestly, college applications aren't that hectic and stressful if you actually just space them out and stop procrastinating. I think one of the huge problems that people have is that they wait till like the night before the application is due and start typing up their essay. Like, you can't do that unless you want to be stressed and annoyed the entire time. For me, I made sure that my brace advisor read every single essay that I submitted and helped me edit it so that I wasn't submitting any foolishness to these schools. And that required time. Don't stress on those college applications, just get them done. Next is self-care during college. So I prescribe to a practice of having at least one day of the week where I do not do any academic work. This seems kind of ridiculous. So it's like, you go to Columbia. What do you mean you don't do any academic work on one day of the week? Like, yes, I don't. And the reason why is actually based on this retreat I went to for my fellowship last year. Your body is not meant to be run into the ground every single week. So what I do is Saturday, I take the whole day and I just watch TV, or I'll wash my hair, or I will like do my nails or something like that. I will do whatever it is as long as it's not school. And as long as it's not something that's gonna stress me out and make me all sad or anything like that. I just vibe. Because I know after a hard week's work, I deserve it. Sunday, I can get back to grinding. That's cool. But one day of me not studying or not doing homework for one of my classes is not going to kill me. It's not gonna prevent me from graduating. And I know that. I think that taking care of yourself is so important, because at the end of the day, like, you'll get your degree, but at what cost, you know? Are you okay? Maybe not. So take care of yourself. What has been your best and worst experience as a Black woman in a PWI? I think actually my best experience as a Black woman in a PWI isn't really like one event. It is really the solidarity that other Black women have at this PWI. Personally, I have so many people who, mostly through social media, we've connected where we like barely talk in person. Like maybe we don't talk at all, but we follow each other on social media, we hype each other up, we comment on each other's pictures and stuff like that. And to know that like there are women at this school who will literally just support you because you are also a Black woman, and because they know how it feels to be a Black woman versus like the exclusion. You're not treated the same way as these white women and or non-Black women. And it's beautiful to see like so many strong Black women on my campus, and being able to like be acquainted with them has been, I would say, my best experience at PWI. My worst experience as a Black woman, honestly, I haven't had anything like overtly racist happen to me, and I can't think of an overwhelming like bad experience. I do know that there is sometimes this feeling of people trying to talk over me, and or people sort of not acknowledging that I have things to say, but I shut that down really quick. I'm not with that foolishness. I make sure that my voice is heard. I make sure that my presence is acknowledged, and I don't really take the kind of step over, walk over, ignore vibe. No, absolutely not. I'm J.Ann Forrest. You can tell the students here are just so wealthy that they have no idea what it's like to struggle in those ways. And honestly, like that type of privilege is one of, I would say, the most relevant ones here, because a lot of things that you do here have to do with money, like how you dress, your access to certain resources, your gallivanting around the city, stuff like that. All of that is filtered through how much money your family makes, how much money your family will contribute to your education. I am proud to be here, and I just make sure that I show my spot, and I'm happy to have it. And I got it over a bunch of other people, regardless of people's claims of affirmative action and things like that. I'm still here, and they're still not. The last question is, what activities and extracurriculars you are in, and what are you enjoying about them? So I am currently in Peer Health Exchange, which is a volunteer organization where I teach health and sexual education to high school freshmen. I joined it because I'm a pre-med student and I really wanted to engage in that curriculum. Also because I have a pretty high interest in education and just sharing education that's usually not accessible to under-resourced students with under-resourced students, and I was really happy with that. I'm an LC now, so I will no longer be teaching because I'm a part of the leadership council, so I'll actually be helping other educators learn how to teach, and I'll be leading those workshops weekly, and I'm super excited for that role. The next club I'm in is the Caribbean Student Association. Also love that club. It really reminded me and really showed me that there is a Caribbean population on campus, some of which are very, very similar to me, and I really love that I met a lot of Jamaicans, you know. And I really like the solidarity. Another club that I'm in is Charles Drew Pre-Medical Society for Black and Brown students, and that club is also awesome because it's a pre-med haven, and it is one that accounts for all the different forms of like discrimination and exclusion from other spaces that Black and Brown students experience, especially within pre-med. And I also like that it accounts for income as well, because that's another thing that is a barrier to medical students. Is just like, it's super expensive to apply to medical school. It's very expensive to expect people to just volunteer their time all the time with these unpaid internships and volunteer hours. Like, some people just literally cannot afford that, and people also expect to pay thousands of dollars to study for the MCAT and stuff like that. And I think Charles Drew, as well as my pre-med advisor here, constantly remind me that that's not the case, and that I don't have to dish out all of that money in order to get the same equitable chance at getting a great score on the MCAT. Someone asked me what my stats are, and I'll be very, very transparent. I had a 3.9 unweighted GPA out of 4 points in high school. I graduated with my AP diploma, my ACE diploma, and my Fort Lauderdale High School diploma. I had several scholarships and awards when I graduated. I got a 1480 on the SAT and on the PSAT, and I had mad extracurriculars. I was a captain of the track and field team at my high school. I was a president of the debate teams, and I led like the Lincoln Douglas debate team at some point at my school. I was also an entrepreneur. I owned a phone case company for a few years of high school. I closed it my senior year, and I had a job. I worked at Mathnasium LLC my senior year, tutoring students in K-12 mathematics. So I had a lot going on, and that really, really, really contributed to, I guess, my beautiful like rainbow resume. But I did do all of those things for 4 years aside from the job, so I did show a commitment and a passion for certain things, and I think that that helped a lot. This video is really long. If you've made it all this way, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that I answered all the questions that I got, and I am so delighted to answer any other questions y'all may have, because I am willing to share my expertise as a third-year pre-medical student majoring in African American and African diaspora studies and concentrating in biology. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.